Joe Biden and his White House triggered the investigation of Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, triggered the criminal investigation. I don't know what these Democrats in the media would do without Donald Trump. You know what they would do? They'd go after Ron DeSantis exactly the same way. This is who they are. They're despicable. You know, American First Legal found some information that's very, very important and is getting almost no attention. Certainly not at the New York Slimes or the Washington Compost. Certainly not at the big three networks, all run by left-wing Democrats. But I want you to hear about this. American First Legal filed a Freedom of Information Act request with the National Archives and Records Administration, NARA, in the Office of the Inspector General to obtain records related to the Biden, listen, this is the key, the Biden White House's special access request. Special access request for President Trump's records located at Mar-a-Lago. Now, if you're a serious journalist and you read that, you go, what the hell is that? I got to look into that. You're telling me the Biden White House was involved in some process to lay the foundation for going after Trump? Yes, that's what they're saying. Now, what are they talking about? On August 8, 2022, the FBI conducted an unprecedented raid, as you know, of Mar-a-Lago on the ground that potentially classified records existed there. According to press reports, including the New York Slimes, Biden administration aides were, quote, stunned, unquote, to hear this development. They never even could have imagined this. Are you kidding? There's documents, potentially classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. We had not heard anything about this. We're stunned. But new archives records obtained through America First Legal's investigation into the circumstances surrounding the Mar-a-Lago raid further confirmed that the FBI contained access to these records through a special access request from the Biden White House. A special access request from the Biden White House on behalf of the Department of Justice. Now, what is that all about? I'll get to that. It appears that the Biden White House and the Department of Justice coordinated to obtain the Trump records and perhaps create a pretext for the law enforcement raid by way of a special access request. What this effectively means is that there are substantial discrepancies between what the archives has told Congress and what appears in its internal communications. This is why FOIA is such a great weapon for the average citizen out there. For example, acting archivist Deborah Wall told Representative Mike Turner, Republican, chairman of the Intelligence Committee, on August 16, 2022, that the archives, quote, had not been involved in the DOJ investigation or any searches that it has conducted. This stunning revelation suggests the archives was misleading Congress about the White House's role in the shocking raid of President Trump's home and the fact that the White House was acting on behalf of, quote unquote, on behalf of the Department of Justice raises significant legal concerns. The Special Access Statute authorizes special access requests to an incumbent president only when the records in question are needed for the conduct of current business of the White House. So the White House isn't supposed to be involved to create a pretext for a criminal investigation. The White House isn't supposed to be involved to get records to give to the Department of Justice. The White House, under federal law, can only be involved when the records in question are needed to conduct White House business. As you can imagine, wait a minute, there's a missing document. We don't know how former President Ernie Grabotsky did this, so we need the document back. Please ask President Ernie Schaefer to give us a copy of the document. Ernie Grabotsky. Not, we're making a special request from the White House on behalf of the Department of Justice. Those records give to the Department of Justice. Am I making any sense? Of course I am. Now, statement from Reed Rubenstein. He's the Senior Counsel and Director of Oversight and Investigations legal group. Here's what he says. The evidence suggests that the ostensibly nonpartisan National Archives and Records Administration misled Congress about the Biden White House's responsibility for the FBI's raid of former President Trump's home. The evidence further suggests, and this is even more important, that Biden officials in the Executive Office of the President and the Department of Justice unlawfully abused their power and then lied about it to the American people. This government, it seems, he says, acknowledges no limits on its power to harass, intimidate, and silence its political opponents. All right, just to sum up again, because this is a big deal. Special access statute says the White House has special access to a former president's documents for one reason and one reason only: to conduct White House business. Number one. Number two, White House representatives have said to the public over and over again that they were stunned to learn about the documents at Mar-a-Lago. Number three, the acting archivist of the United States testified before Congress, the House Intelligence Committee, Mike Turner, the Republican chairman, that they were not involved in any investigation with the Department of Justice. Number four, the archivist apparently lied. She had to be aware that there was a special access request from the White House to assist the Department of Justice. We're asking for the documents to give to the Department of Justice. Also, the White House lied, saying it was stunned to learn that this had even taken place, when in fact the White House facilitated it. And the worst piece of this is the thoroughly corrupt media pretending this story doesn't exist. This is a big deal. It's a big deal publicly. It's a big deal as a legal matter. It's a big deal politically. Joe Biden and his White House triggered the investigation of Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, triggered the criminal investigation. And this shouldn't surprise anybody, even though it should upset you, because it's the same White House that triggered the memorandum from the Attorney General unleashing all Justice Department and FBI resources to track parents at school board meetings. And we know now, as I surmised at the time, the first on radio, that the memorandum written by the Department of Justice had assistance from the White House. Because having worked at the White House under Reagan, having worked at the Department of Justice under Reagan, I knew there was no way the National School Boards Association could get a letter in the executive office building to the Oval Office of the President, all done on a Friday, and then on a Monday, the Department of Justice and the Attorney General issues this memo. It doesn't work that fast. It's an impossibility. So I knew it was in the works. I knew they all had worked together to draft the letter, and that is precisely what took place. And that letter or memo still stands. Still stands. And so it doesn't surprise me that the sleazeballs in the Biden administration did exactly this. That is, that they worked with the Department of Justice to get access to documents they wouldn't otherwise have a right to get.
Want to see more Mark Levin? Go to LevinTV.com and subscribe now.